Hey crazy crafters, this is my first YouTube video, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about chalk paint. There are a lot of videos about chalk paint on YouTube, and a lot of them talk about chalk paint that you can buy already made that's kind of expensive, and then there are like tons of different ways to make chalk paint, and I've made probably all of them. And then I came across one video that I found that talked about making chalk paint with something called calcium carbonate, which basically is just the stuff they make Tums with, you know, the stuff that settles your stomach, or the stomach acid or whatever for indigestion or heartburn or what have you. And calcium carbonate, it comes in a powder form, and it's like really fine. And it's, you know, safe to use. It's, you know, they give it, you can, you know, some people put it in water and drink it to, you know, get more calcium. And they also give it to farm animals with their feed to give them calcium. So it's used for many things, so it's not harmful or anything. And some of the ways that chalk paint can be made if you're doing it yourself, there's a couple different ways. You can use baking soda. Some people use plaster of Paris, I guess, and that stuff's good, but it dries really fast and hardens even if you have a cover on the container. So you have very little work time with that compared to the other methods. But I've tried all of the methods out there, and I have found that calcium carbonate is the best for making chalk paint. So I wanted to make some chalk paint, and I don't know if you could see, but I have this pumpkin that I was trying to paint with this glass paint, but I didn't like the way it worked out. So I still have the little stickers on where I wanted the eyes and the mouth to be. So we're going to make some chalk paint, and I'm going to put it on here and show you just how easy it is. And what's great about it too is you don't need to prime anything. Like, I don't need to worry about this being on there already. Excuse me, already. I don't need to prime it. I don't need to sand it. Nothing. Chalk paint is fabulous. If you've never used chalk paint, trust me, you will never want to go back to anything else. It's awesome. And of course you can make chalkboards with it, because you can use black paint, just acrylic paint, and add the calcium carbonate and make chalkboard. And calcium carbonate you can buy online. That's the main place you're going to find it, is online, and it's inexpensive. I got a 15-pound bag. It was a really big bag of calcium carbonate for, I think it was like $12 plus a couple dollars for shipping, and that will last me probably a lifetime. And what I did was I took it and I mixed it in put it into a container like this. So let's give you an idea what it looks like. And it's a very powdery, you know, a little bit denser than like baby powder, but it's very powdery. And doesn't really have a smell to it, but it works fantastic. And basically what you do is you take your basic acrylic paint, like I'm going to use orange. Actually, I'm going to combine these two so that this one's not so bright, and it won't be that, it'll be kind of like a combo, just so that it's a little bit of a different color that I want. It's very simple. You just add as much paint as you want. Just squirt some in to a container, and I use a closed container because then if I make too much I can save it, because unlike using plaster of Paris or I forget the other one that there was that you could do, and but it would set up too fast, and it would end up drying up regardless of whether or not you covered it. But you can, you know, cover the container and then use it another time. You don't have to worry about it going bad, because it won't. So I'm going to mix these colors together, because this one's called terracotta, and I think it would look good with the orange. So let's get a popsicle stick. And like I said, this is my first video, so bear with me if I'm not fully prepared. I tried to get everything out as I needed. So you just mix some paint. I can't tell you an exact recipe for how much of the calcium carbonate to use, because I kind of just eyeball it a little bit and just kind of use what I think. Like, I like that color, but I want a little bit more so that I can hold on to this for other projects for Halloween, because it is almost Halloween. My paint's being difficult and squirting all over the place. Get out there. Alrighty. So, I'm going to mix and mix and mix and mix and mix. Get the color I want, which that looks good. I'm not real picky. And then we're going to take the calcium carbonate, and what I do is I have this like spoon that I use for my crafting or whatever, and I'm just going to take about that much, which I don't even know, a teaspoon maybe? This is a very large spoon. And I'll start with that and kind of start stirring that in and see what the consistency. It kind of gets a little gritty, but I mean, chalk paint, if you haven't played around with it ever yet and you haven't tried, I mean, it's amazing. If you have an old piece of furniture, you don't have to sand it. You don't have to do anything to it. Just throw some chalk paint on. You can do a distressed look. You can, like I said, make a chalkboard with black, or even just like a dark blue, and it would look cool if you wrote with chalk on it. It would be pretty awesome. If you got like a kid's room, you could like chalk paint their door so that they can draw on it. Cool stuff like that. There's tons of projects, and what's really cool is you can look it up on YouTube. You can chalk paint on fabric furniture, like a chair. I mean, there's a woman that did a chair, a fabric chair, and she painted it with chalk paint, and it didn't, like, you can't tell it's chalk paint. Like, it feels like the fabric. It's so bizarre, and it looks fantastic. I'm going to add just a little bit more of this, just a little. But yeah, so there's just, I mean, if you haven't tried it, I'm sure you've heard of it. I mean, it's kind of like a big thing. I'm not telling you really anything too new here. Maybe just how to do it. Because I don't think there's a ton of videos showing you how to do it with the calcium carbonate. But they I've compared it. I've watched, there was one other video where she kind of compared all the different ways to make, like, the chalk paint, kind of like Annie Sloan, I think her name is, makes the chalk paint brand, but like a quart of that is like $30-something. It's kind of insane. So you can basically make whatever color you want. So I'd say that looks about good. I'm just mixing it. And then I'll get my paintbrush and do a quick paint job on this. And what's nice too is you don't need a whole heck of a lot of coats on something with chalk paint. And because it covers really well, a lot better than just paint. And I might not have mixed this completely well, but that's okay, because you kind of just, if there's any clumpy parts, just it'll just kind of, as you paint, they'll disappear. But I'm just going to do a coat. Whoops, sorry, I shook the camera. Whoop. Making you dizzy yet? Do you feel drunk? So yeah, I'm just slapping it on here. It does pretty good for one coat. Not bad. It covers pretty well. Now, regular acrylic paint would not have covered this as well as this has. And I am a very messy crafter, and you will probably notice that I get paint on me and glue all over me all the time. So anyway, that's pretty much it. You can add more, you can add less, you can kind of test it out and see. And then of course I might add a second coat, but maybe not. I kind of like that, and what'll be nice is it'll glow if I put a candle in there. So I'll let that dry and set it aside. I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit about the calcium carbonate, and as you can see, I am completely orange now. I am definitely a messy crafter. And it is like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I am not an early bird, so trust me, I was not up early. I just haven't gone to bed yet, because that's how I am. I am a night owl, and I always will be. So now I can keep this, and I have orange, and I've made several colors. I've made, you know, a pink, I made a black, I did, you know, all kinds of colors, because I've been doing all kinds of projects, especially around Halloween. Also, another good thing about calcium carbonate that I had discovered, a lot of people like to use molding paste, and there are several kinds. There are, you know, there's the Dreamweaver, and that stuff's hard to come by. You have to buy that online. And then there's the Liquitex molding paste, or modeling paste, and that stuff's $12.99 for this 8-ounce little jar. And it's fine if you're doing small projects, you know, mostly like, you know, when you do a stencil and you want to put the molding paste on. I mean, it'll go a long way, you know, but if you want to do like a whole canvas, like I've always wanted to cover like a whole canvas and make it real textury and look like plaster kind of, and it would use like probably almost this whole jar just to do one. And there's plenty of videos out there about making your own molding paste, and you can use baby powder with some gesso and some white glue and make it that way, which is still a cheap way. I mean, no doubt, it's still way cheaper than these. But, you know, and then there's baking soda, which works well, and then, of course, they did one with the plaster, but, again, that one dried so fast that you didn't have a lot of work time with it. So, since it was so close to making chalk paint, kind of the same things people were kind of making, I decided to use the calcium carbonate to try and make a molding paste. And first I made a baking powder baking soda mix where I mixed both baby powder and baking powder and baking soda mix. Some people use just baby powder, other people use just baking soda. Well, I decided to mix the two together because baby powder makes a really smooth textured molding paste, and the baking soda adds a slight bit of grit, so it gives it kind of a cool consistency that I kind of dug and thought it was pretty cool. So let me get my little stirrer here because I made that this morning, and it's probably not completely, but that's how it comes out, nice and pasty, gives a nice look. Works fine, dries fast, you know, all the things you want in a molding paste. So it's pretty good. Pretty happy with that one. And then I made the calcium carbonate. Now, before I open this, calcium carbonate is not pure white like baking soda or baby powder. It has a slightly off-white, not tan, but like, I don't know, that color ecru that everybody talks about. It's like that. So, if you want pure white, then this is not going to be for you. However, most people spray over, paint over, you know, or do something over their pasted project, their molding paste or whatever. And I made this super thick. I probably shouldn't have made it so thick, but this will be good for doing a canvas or something. I probably added a little bit too much. I was kind of being quick. It was late. But this would be great. And plus, too, if you like the color, if you don't like the bright white, this is a cool color in itself to just use because it's like an antique color. It kind of looks vintagey and old, and it would be cool on certain projects to have this color. I mean, of course, you can always use white and put an antique white color in with this and make it this color, but I thought, you know, the calcium carbonate, if you're just going to use it for chalk paint and you buy a lot of it, it'll take you forever to use it up. At least this way, you have another use for the calcium carbonate. So what I did was I did a couple of stencils to show you. Now this over here in this section from here is the Dreamweaver. It's called embossing paste, but it's basically modeling paste. And this is the calcium carbonate mixture, which comes out nice and hard. I pulled the stencil up really fast, so it kind of made it a little rigid. I did that on both this one and the other one. I just grabbed it and yanked it, whereas this one I went a lot slower, which is why it looks smoother. But this is the calcium carbonate. It's nice and hard, which it's actually harder than the Dreamweavers. It's like super hard, and gives a lot of texture. And then this is my baking soda and baby powder mixture. This is that one there. And they all came out great. You know, and considering that this is like $12 for this, and this one's 8 ounces, and, you know, I have an abundance of the calcium carbonate, and, of course, baking soda and baby powder are not expensive. It's just a better option. You know, for me anyway. I mean, I'll show you how the calcium carbonate goes on, and you can make a lot of really cool, like, textured look. If you have like a brick stencil, you can do like really cool brick, you know, and of course you can paint over it once it's dry, or you know, paint over it, or spray it with your ink sprays and all that stuff that you do with regular modeling paste. And it's, whoops, I'm busting my stencil. Some of these stencils are so delicate, and I'm rough with everything. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So anyway, yeah, look up online calcium carbonate. It's really easy to find. It's, you know, not expensive. Have fun with it, and hopefully I'll be making another video soon with some other either projects I want to do, some mixed media stuff. Like I said, I'm new to making YouTube videos, so hopefully I'll be able to make some more and have some fun and show you some of the projects I make, which, you know, I don't really have anything on hand. I make a lot of jewelry, mixed media art, just random stuff that I, you know, seem to just like to do. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.